Hello everybody, big welcome to our top tip free tutorials on the treatment and conditioning of flowers. Now maybe we have a few newbies joining us today, and if you are a newbie I recommend get yourself a notebook and pen, because I'm going to give you all the latest top tips and tricks for prolonging the life of your flowers. And what I do, I recommend all our students do, is they have a large notebook and each page is specifically for each flower. They add all my top tips and tricks, and then they add their experience with the flowers. And then obviously watching other florists out there, you'll pick up other top tips and you add it to your page. It's absolutely great to refer to. Remember, you can put this video on pause while you run and get your notebook and pen. So today we're going to talk about spray roses, but these wouldn't be your typical spray roses. And remember, I have lots of these free tutorial videos up on our YouTube channel. All you have to do is search Case Flower School. But today the spray rose that I'm going to talk about is the avalanche spray rose. Now most people are familiar with avalanche as a standard rose, but may not realise avalanche also have spray roses. So first of all spray roses are available all year round. Now that's not saying you'll get the avalanche all year round, you know that way, but in general most roses, spray roses and roses, are available all the year round. Spray roses in general can last 7 to 12 days. It obviously depends on how cool the room is. Like they definitely would prefer 2 to 5 degrees Celsius. So like that's easy enough to control when you're in a flower shop, but impossible to control when you sell them to your customer. Especially in spring, winter time, people have the heating on, their houses are a lot warmer, so that's definitely going to affect the longevity of the flowers. Now normally on a stem of spray roses, you could get anything, I'm just going to cut the elastic band here, anything between 7 and 10 heads. Now obviously with this variety you can see there's a lot less, we just have the 3 heads. But normally with spray roses, the larger head is much smaller, as in about a third of the size of these ones here today. But with these ones it's nearly like a standard rose with little babies you see coming up on either side of them. So that's why I wanted to do this tutorial, because it is a little bit different to our normal kind of like spray roses. So with our roses, what I always do, I prefer to use a stem stripper. We have these available for sale on our website, by the way, and what I do is I remove the leaves that's going to be below the waterline. And depending on what you're planning to use your roses for, you could prefer, you know what I mean, and you could remove all of the foliage, like if I was using them maybe in a wedding bouquet, or again you could start up that little bit higher. But can you see how easy the stem stripper is? Instead of like being there at home yourself and picking them off, you know, that way with your fingers. Now normally with standard roses, I like to wrap them up in a sheet of paper, you know, to give them a bit of support. But I kind of find with these ones, these are pretty strong enough, so I would probably get away without wrapping them up. Now I'm saying that for any of our newbies that hasn't watched any of our other tutorials, maybe just search up standard roses on our YouTube channel, and again you can watch the tutorial on how I condition our standard roses, because again I have tutorials up there about David Austin roses, and again I slightly change it around. Like you can never learn enough. There's things are changing all the time, and as I always say to the students, you'll always learn something new. Okay, with all roses, they're sensitive to bacteria. So it's really important that the buckets and vases that you're going to use to store the flowers in are scrupulously clean. Normally what we do is we sterilise them with domestic bleach, like household bleach. Again, if you've never seen that tutorial, search it on the YouTube channel. So our buckets and vases would all be sterilised with bleach. I often say to the students, if they're not clean enough to drink out of, they're not clean enough for the flowers to drink out of. The other thing is, roses are very sensitive to ethylene gas. So if you have, like say, older flowers or fruit and veg, you know, that within the same vicinity, that again can affect the flowers. That's why we remove the plastic. Obviously all flowers naturally give off their own ethylene gas, and if it can't escape because it's wrapped in plastic, it is inclined to make the flowers kind of like mature and ripen that little bit faster. So back to your roses, you've removed your leaves, you have your bucket scrupulously clean, you have added flower food to the water. Roses definitely love flower food, you know what I mean, especially the first time that they've had a drink. And again, it's nice clean water and there's no leaves below the waterline. Then what I recommend is 1 to 2 centimetres or a good inch cut on a 45-degree angle off the end of your stem, and then what you can do is you can place them down into your clean vase of water and give them at least 6 to 8 hours before you actually start working away with them. And during that 6 to 8 hours, if you want them heads to encourage them to open up a little bit more, we normally recommend cut your roses every 4 hours, and that helps to encourage them to open. Now when I say cut them in 4 hours time, you needn't take a big chunk off them again. Half a centimetre is absolutely loads, and then in 4 hours time you could cut another half a centimetre off them. And then after that you'd probably find once a day or every second day is absolutely fine. That definitely helps to hydrate the flowers, and again it prolongs the life of them. Sometimes with standard roses, not necessarily with the spray roses, you can get airlocks in the stem. And again, in some of my standard rose tutorials that I have up there on YouTube, I make suggestions about doing the hot boiling water treatment or using quick dip, which is a chemical that you can use, and again to remove any airlocks in the stem. So definitely recommend pop over and watch them tutorials as well. With all flowers, I recommend change the water as often as possible. So definitely every 2 to 3 days. You know, that way you probably get away with 5 days. But if you change the water more frequently, again, your flowers are going to last that little bit longer. Hopefully you picked up a couple of top tips and tricks there. If anybody has any questions or any comments, place them in the comments below. I will respond back to every comment or every question that's posted. I'd really appreciate if you shared this video. And again, thank you for joining me. My name is Janette and I'm from Case Flower School.